As you may have noticed, here we are at the very end of this collection of Altès Etudes, number 26. And I really believe that towards the end here, Altès is saying to himself, what have I not yet taught my students that they really still should learn? And one thing that he hits at the beginning of this etude is the idea of recitativo. Do you know what recitativo is? If you don't, be sure you go look it up. If you've played any operas, you know, because notationally, you see the singer cues, you see a bunch of eighth notes or maybe 16th notes that aren't even beamed together. And if you're trying to follow them, you're thinking, what is this rhythm? In the meantime, the conductor's not even trying to conduct. He's standing there like this. He may be vaguely following the singer, but he's really not trying to conduct. And eventually, he looks at the orchestra like, watch out, here comes a cue. And he may eventually do something like this. It's funny to me because the last episode of Flute Tube that I did was about conducting yourself, and I talked about how if you're doing a good rubato, you can still conduct, you just gently modify your conducting to fit the rubato. Well, recitative, you just throw the conducting out. And Altès wants to show you in this etude what that style of playing is like. This recitativo section is short though, then the rest of the etude is more about arpeggios, getting arpeggio fingerings into your muscle memory. As you're playing through all these arpeggios, just be sure that you're watching out for details. Watch out for the details like accents, dynamics. Also watch out for the minor to major key signatures. You start out in B minor, great, only 2 sharps. But then we switch to B major, you get 5 sharps, and people have a tendency to kind of linger in B minor and not get all of the sharps. There are a few things in this etude also that you really want to think through. For instance, your fingering strategy for A sharps. An example of where this is really important is the second half of page 96. I have written a few notes for myself in this book regarding whether or not I should be using my thumb B flat key, or A sharp key if you want to call it that for this key signature. And for more enlightenment here, if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, go watch my video that's called Choose Your B Flats Wisely. Because we want to be sure that you are comfortable playing all 3 fingerings that are standard for B flat. You know there are 3 standard fingerings for B flat or A sharp, right? They all are occasionally your best choice to play B flats or A sharps, so you want to be really familiar with those. Other than that, if you've made it to this last Altès etude, give yourself a big pat on the back because it's a long journey to get through these studies. And since there are 26 of them, we might as well go ahead and say, getting through these is a marathon, so congratulations. Also, if you've been watching all of my recordings of etudes on FluteTube, please give this video a like because it does really help my channel to get likes, and then I'll know that there are people out there who appreciate that I bothered to record all of these etudes. Now the question, not just for me, but for all of us is, which book of etudes comes next? You always want to be working through a book of etudes. They help us become better sight readers. They help us with learning difficult music more quickly. Which book of etudes are you going to do next? Do you have any requests for a book of etudes that I should do next, and maybe we can do them together? If you do have any thoughts or requests, please leave them in the comments because I will take them seriously. I am looking for my next book of etudes to record.